very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Weekly on the West Ham Voice here on a Monday night. I hope you're all doing well and I hope you've all had a pretty good weekend. Thank you all for joining. News. Is it news, really? I don't know. We're going to talk about Mohammed Kudus and the ridiculous link yet again to the Saudi League. News broke out. Well, if you call it breaking news, I call it just nonsense, really, that apparently the Saudi League, a number of teams, are looking at signing Mohammed Kudus. You pick a decent player. You tell me which Saudi club is not interested in a decent player. You know, and with the money that's awash in the Saudi League at the moment, they can take their pick, can't they? But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. I'm also going to make sure we talk about the game again and give you guys an opportunity to have your say as to how you thought the game went, and just all the other general news that's happening at the moment. Loan updates. One or two players have done all right, haven't they? On loan, James Ward-Prowse, for example, and some injury news as well. So if you're new to the channel, please do consider becoming a subscriber of the channel. All you got to do is click that subscribe button. It costs you nothing to become a subscriber, and all my content is free as usual. And if you're an existing subscriber or a new subscriber and you like tonight's show, then please make sure you hit that like button as well. So before we do any of that, as usual, we go all the way into the chat and say good evening to people. Good evening to you, Daniela. I hope you're well. Oh, please, why would a 24-year-old with the talent of Kudus go to the Saudi League if SAFF come calling? £200 million is why, because we can. Good evening to you, Graham. I hope you're well. Hi, everybody. There is lots for Stel to get his teeth into today. Well, we're going to talk about the team as well. We're going to talk about your views as well on the game. Team selection, I mean, it was odd, wasn't it? Let's be honest. When we saw the team selection, I think one or two of us were slightly aghast. Good evening to you, Leslie. I hope you're well, mate, fellow sufferer. Leslie, Daniela, don't think Kudus would go to Saudi, but maybe up for leaving if he keeps being played on the left. Jack, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for the videos. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to load them up. I feel really guilty. Jack sent me some great videos of the fans celebrating after the goal against Fulham. I was trying to film, and all I did was take one step out into the aisle. And before I knew it, I was quite close to the front. Before I knew it, I went hurtling down with a whole load of other fans behind me, you know. And by the time I got the phone out, fucking Danny Ings had pissed off back to the halfway line. But thank you for those, mate. I really appreciate them, and I'm sorry I couldn't get them loaded in time. Danny boy, good evening to you. Don't you remember I told you, Mr. What? He's singing again. Good evening to you, Danny boy. How are you? Good evening to you, Ray. I hope you're well, mate. Good evening, Shaky. How are you? No, on time. There you go, on time. Who else have we got? Michael, good evening, mate. The Carpenters. You're already off on a tangent, aren't you? Jack, I don't think worries of how the new boss has started are justified. New squad, almost new manager, getting players to gel. I agree with you, and I have seen the murmurs, and I've seen a lot of fans already. There's some disquiet going on. Look. If we were 18 games in and we were doing shit, I'd be like, hands up, Lopetegui doesn't seem to be the one. We're 4 games in. We've got 4 points. Okay, we lost 2 games against 2 very good teams who are vying for champion. You know, let's call them champions-elect already, Man City, shall we? Well, I don't know, actually. I'm going to talk about them in a minute as well. But I don't think there's any need to panic. I won't lie. When I saw the team selection and I saw the likes of Souček and Antonio and double pivot of defensive midfielders, I did go, why? You know, but on the whole, I think I think there is improvement. Thank goodness we've now got a coach who actually decides to make changes when changes are due. So I think that's a good thing. I think we were chasing the game. Obviously, we went a goal down and we were on the back foot. We had to go for it. So I don't think there's any need to panic either. Good evening to you, Keith. Kalispera, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Good evening to you, Howard. I hope you're well, mate. Toha, how are you, mate? I can't be calling you Michael now, usual. Where have you gone? You just chat to yourselves. James, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Jack, I don't think concerns of the new manager, slow start, are justified. New club, new squad, players getting used to his style and each other, and a good 10 to 12 games. Then we will know if he's the real deal. Absolutely agreed. Hammerettes, good evening, mate. 20th here tonight. I'm slacking. Good evening to you. There you go. New me, new season, new me. I was on time. Who else have we got in the chat tonight? Let's have a scroll down. Kimbo, hello, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. CC, good evening, mate. Stel, hope you're good. Looking forward to Chelsea game. Just hope Antonio and Souček are nowhere near the team. And this is what we're going to mainly talk about. It's like, why did he pick Antonio and Souček in that starting lineup? I've got theories. They're my theories. To me, they make some kind of sense, but I'll give them to you and you can have your say and let me know. So I'll tell you what, I'll give you all a question. Why did you think Dave, I almost called him David Moyes. Shit. Why do you think Julen Lopetegui selected Antonio and Souček in that lineup? Let me know. Give me a reasoned argument why you think, and then we can compare. Hammer it. Wouldn't it be so ironic if the striker we needed to get us through was the one that's been here since the summer of 22? I'm not calling him out a hero just yet, but thank goodness that he was there and he was on the bench. Yeah, interestingly, if Fullkrug had been fit, Danny Ings probably wouldn't have been on the bench and he wouldn't have got that goal. So does he now deserve to start? So there's two questions for you. Why did Julen Lopetegui select Souček and I've lost his name. Why did he pick Souček and Antonio? And if Fullkrug was fit, would Danny Ings even have been would he have even been on the bench? Colin, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Michael, I've got a new phone. Can't for the life of me work out how to put usual on it. You let him know, mate. Good evening, Martin. I hope you're well. Daniela, Stel, everyone, yes, would like more point, but we're in a rebuild situation. It's going to take a bit of time to get everything working like we want it to be. There's going to be hits and misses. I agree. There are going to be hits and misses, and we're going to have to just be patient. We wanted a change of manager. We got it. We wanted a change of style of play. We got it. Are we getting a change of team at the moment? Not quite there yet. And I know many people are asking, well, why is he not playing all the new players? I think when Soler came on, you got your answer. He was well behind the pace. And all right, it takes a bit of time for a sub to come on and get into the pace, etc. But in all honesty, he looked rusty. I mean, he got a booking within 5 minutes of coming on. Rani, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Matthew, I love the new opening. It's the same, but does it sound new? I'm glad that you think it sounds new. That's been going on for many years, Matthew, but thank you for that as well. I still don't know where I got it from. I got it from YouTube, but no one has laid claim to it, so I've called it my own now. Who else have we got? Leslie, Daniela, not trying to get rid of our best player, just saying he looked pissed off on Saturday. Yeah, and I said that in the post-match review, and I did a reflection on Sunday, and again I said the same thing. Kudus doesn't look happy. His body language at the moment, when the players went to celebrate Danny Ings' goal, Kudus did come over, but it didn't look like he was that involved in the celebrations. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I don't like him being out on the left, and I think that's another main part of my show tonight, that we've got to build around who is undoubtedly our best player at this moment in time. Now, I know you could argue that Jared Bowen is close to that or should be considered one of our best players, but Mohammed Kudus is the best player at West Ham United at this moment in time. And Lopetegui should just start if the player's fit, the first person on that team sheet should be Mohammed Kudus. And then the next thing he needs to decide is, does he play on the right or does he play in the middle? Don't put him on the left. But who am I to say? Sarif Galispera, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Danny Ings for Saudi. Won't happen. Bill, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Good evening, Flamer. How are you? Am I live? Of course I did. Of course I am. I get worried about that, mate. And I've noticed that people have said that in the past, that they're not getting the notification. I don't know what to do about it. You know, all I can ask you to do is, I'm sure you have, but if you're not getting notifications for this show, please double check that you're allowing the notifications to come through, because there's certain clicks you can do, but maybe you've sort of turned notifications off and you don't even know that you have. So sorry to hear that, mate, but I'm glad you're here. I'm definitely live. Bowlane Lounge, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Matthew, if they offered 100 million for Kudus, take the money and run. I can't yet. It won't happen in January. I doubt it very much. Will he leave? Possibly. Will he leave at the end of the season? Very possibly. But I don't think he'll be leaving the Premier League, to be quite honest with you. Can't let Kudus leave. Sharky, good evening to you as well, mates. Good evening, Mark. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Conan. I'm very well, mate. I hope you are too. Sarif, not surprised really with Kudus' last couple of games. His body language has not been great. Money talks. I hope that's not what's on his mind. 69 Claret, good evening to you. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Daniela, I bet if you said, okay, you can go to the Saudi, one of the big Champions League clubs will come in and try and hijack the deal. That's very possible. You know, but it's interesting, isn't it? I don't think we've seen any player from the Saudi league yet to be sold back into Europe, and what price the Saudi clubs would ask for. And let's not forget, all of a sudden, the minute a player goes to the Saudi league, because of the salaries they get, it's all tax-free and all that sort of stuff, all of a sudden, clubs around Europe can't cope. Do you remember we had a link to one or two players who were in the Saudi league, not this summer per se, but last summer and last January as well? We're looking at potentially bringing players in. We can't match their salaries. There's just no way. These players are going to take a massive cut in salaries, and apparently there's all these tax implications as well that they've got to pay. You go to the Saudi league, yeah, you'll earn a king's ransom. There's no doubt about that. But when you're coming, if you want to come back to the Premier League or any European league, all of a sudden you're a little bit stuffed, aren't you? Sharky, didn't see the game. Heard we played rubbish. A point is a decent result. I don't think we played rubbish. I think we gave them the first half because of our lineup. But we got into it in the second half. Jack, maybe you were there. I know you were there, mate. You know, tell me what you think of that. You know, did we play rubbish throughout the whole game? I think we got back into it in the second half. James, we could have done with Duran at the weekend. It's really interesting that that's going to go on, isn't it? And also with the players that we've got out on loan. JWP had a good game at the weekend for Nottingham Forest when they beat Liverpool. Cornet came on as a sub. All right, they lost against Man United, but Cornet came on. Can you imagine, you know, the John Duran issue and the players who we've got out on loan who are playing in the Premier League, if they all do really well, it's going to be that deja vu again, isn't it? Well, how come they can't play well for West Ham and they're playing really well for clubs, other clubs in the Premier League? And the John Duran thing, do you know what I'm really hoping for? You know, all right, we haven't signed him. It's gone. It's finished. It's done. Are we going to get him in January? They'll probably add another 15, 20 million pounds on the price tag. And I doubt very much that Aston Villa are now going to let John Duran go with Europe coming up as well as the Premier League. They got already, you know, they got two fantastic strikers in Ollie Watkins and John Duran. Neither, you know, Aston Villa are not going to sell him now. And if they do, they're going to ask for 60 million or so. But I'll tell you what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for our strikers, and I'm putting two together rather than just the one. I'm hoping that Fullkrug and Danny Ings or Antonio end up scoring as many goals, if not more, than John Duran by the end of this season. It's not looking likely at the moment, John Duran is doing fantastically well. But we can't. I get what you're saying, mate. I get what you're saying, James. We could have done with him, but it's gone. Maybe, just maybe, we might strengthen in that area in January. I actually think we may be going for an alternative. It could be a left back in January, given Creswell's back from injury, but now with Emerson injured as well, there might be a slight concern there. But we're going to have to make do. And we just, as other people have been saying in the chat, we've got to give this team time. We've got to be patient, and we've got to see how it goes. And if we're, as Jack said earlier, if we're 12, 13 games into the season and we're seeing no signs of improvement, then yeah, fair enough. Maybe questions should be asked. Mark, good evening to you. Would like to hear Lopetegui rationale for the team selection on Saturday. I'm completely baffled by it. I'll come to that in a moment. Tony, good morning to you, mate. I hope you're well. And good evening to you, Neil. How are you, mate? Aghast still. I was livid. The first half was so predictable. It wasn't great. We gifted them that first half. And I remember I did the preview. I did a Saturday morning live. Oh, there's a new show, by the way. Saturday morning live, when it's game day live. It's going to be. So every time we have a match on that morning, I'll come on live and I'll do a preview. You see, I try and do previews and they don't go so well. But so I thought, well, why not do it in the morning of a game? So if you're around this coming Saturday, it's an early start. Fuck me, it's an early start. Bloody game starts at 12:30 against Chelsea. But I'll do a quick live show and ask your opinions. How you think it's going to go, team selections and so on and so forth. What was your point there, Neil? Sorry, mate. Aghast, yeah, first half was predictable. And I did say in the preview that Fulham are a really good team. Ironically, Marco Silva has the same sort of approach, actually probably a bit more attack-minded, but a similar sort of approach, similar sort of lineup and tactics, etc., to Julen Lopetegui. And I'd suggested that we had to look out for their wingers. Now, I did say in the preview, I thought Adama Traore was Antonio on steroids, and he did prove me wrong because he actually had a really good game. Thank goodness that he couldn't score. He had loads of chances, but he missed them all. So thank goodness for that. So I suggested that we're going to be playing a really tough team, but the lineup gave them the advantage. Having Souček in that team and Antonio, who had only just come back from, international football, it seemed a rather odd process to select them. But again, I'm going to do a very quick review of the game, and I'll give you my thinking as to why I think Lopetegui picked the team that he did. Flamer. 100 million for Kudus, 100 million for Antonio, 100 million for Souček, 100 for Ings, blah, blah, blah. Clear our tab from crap. Jack, Stel, at least you didn't crush the ball boy. Oh, don't tell me that happened again. Did it? Did we go over this topic? No, I hope not. Chaz, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Would start Ings over Antonio. Are we going to jump the gun? Should we start Ings over Antonio? I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but what if Ings does start against Chelsea and has an absolutely shit game, and then Antonio comes on and scores? Do we then say, oh, well, we should have just started Antonio in the first place? We've got to be careful there. I get why you think that, though, Chaz. Appreciate that. Hammer it. We cannot carry Antonio and Tati at the same time. Who does not actually know that Antonio comes back screwed after Jamaica? Who hasn't done their homework? Well, I think he has. But it's still an odd decision. Barry, if Kudus keeps being played out of position, he'll be off. I think, in all honesty, whatever position he plays, I think the only way we're likely to keep Mohammed Kudus after this season is if we make Europe. I was almost going to say, it was on the tip of my tongue, if we make Champions League, but I'm being silly. But if we make Europe, we might just keep him another season. Howard, Loppe trying to get Antonio injured. Well, that wouldn't be too difficult. CC, I feel Lopetegui's hands were tied on Saturday because of the stupid, annoying internationals with all the travel, etc., that it involves. And you've hit the nail on the head. And this is my theory as well. My theory is this. If you look, he played Antonio for one half. He played Paqueta for one half. They both flew back quite long from South America. Antonio was playing in Honduras for Jamaica. Don't know whether he came straight back from Honduras or whether he came back via Jamaica, whatever. It's a long flight back, both for Paqueta and for Antonio. And that is my theory as well. I think his hands were a little bit tied. I think he just looked at it and went, well, I might get half a game out of each of them, and I'll do that. The Souček decision, I have to be honest, I still can't fathom. I can't work out because, as other people have said, people have said, well, why didn't he play Soler? Well, I think Soler, it was an obvious because he just didn't look on it. It's going to take him time to get into the Premier League and get up to speed, etc. He hasn't done an awful lot of pre-season either. Even if it was at PSG, he was at PSG and he was sitting on the bench for most of that time as well. But then other people ask, well, why not Irving? Why didn't Irving, why not give that young lad a try? You never know what you might get out of him. And that's a valid point. Or why not just start with Danny Ings and play Mohammed Kudus in the middle and play Jared Bowen on the right. And the player that I thought was going to get game time was Crescencio Somerville. I thought he'd start, but he didn't as well. But my theory is the same as yours. I think his hands were tied a little bit because of the internationals, players coming back late, etc. But it doesn't answer why Souček was selected. Daniela, well, if Forest can go to Anfield, then that League Cup game may not be as difficult as we think. Good shout. Who else have we got? Let's scroll down. Ian, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. It's worrying that you play your best players from the start, not start from back to front. I totally agree. But at this moment in time, I know a lot of people don't fancy Souček, and I know a lot of fans, and myself included, I'm not a big fan anymore of Antonio. I've been saying it, not for 1 year. I've been saying it for the last 2 or 3 seasons, that I think Antonio is better off being an impact sub. So I agree with that bit in. But I think our best players are still not quite our best players at this moment in time. They're still getting up to full match fitness. And it's such a shame, isn't it? I mean, well, a shame in some ways that Fullkrug would probably have started this game on Saturday. But in a roundabout sort of way, I'm quite lucky that he didn't start because we wouldn't have seen Antonio. We wouldn't have seen Ings on the pitch. CC, same number of points as Tottenham. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. Very good point. Very good point. It's too early in the season to start suggesting that we're going to have a bad season. If we're a dozen games down the line and we're looking like we're not doing much better than what we're currently doing, then fair play, open season, I guess. Pigads, good evening, mate. I'm giving it 5 more games before I get the pitchfork out. I'm giving it a bit longer. I'm giving it, well, actually, no, I would agree to a certain point there, because that takes us to just over the next international break, 10th of October. So yeah, we've got a few games between now and then when we, and then we come back, and then we've got issues again because of the international break and players flying off here, there, and everywhere. So no, actually, I'm going to take that back. I will give it a few more games than that, PGADs, because of the fact that we've got another international break coming up. So after the international break, another 2 or 3 games after that, and the ones that are coming up now, and then come the end of October, let's see where we're at. I think that's fair. Talking Hammers, good evening to you. Still a positive Hammer. Shocking lineup, yes, but hard to bring 9 new players into a squad. Compare the equivalent result to last year, and we're 3 points better off. And yeah, so someone did that analysis, didn't they? If you look at the games that we played against these particular teams last season, we're actually better off than we were. Crystal Palace, we got thumped away 5-0. Man City, what was the score of Man City last season? 5-0 again, or something like that. But we only lost 3. Yeah, a little slightly better. And Fulham, they thumped us 5-0 away from home. So I guess in some respects, yes, you can see that against these teams, and I think our style of play, I actually really enjoyed the set. I didn't enjoy the first half very much, but I actually did enjoy the second half. I thought it was end to end. It was quite entertaining. Now, Tony Gale mentioned Kudus being quiet, not bloody rocket science as to why. Johnny, good evening, mate. No need to read this one out. Too late. Paul, good evening, mate. No panic. Lost 5-0 last time. Point away from home is good in the Premier League. Exactly. Ironically, we're doing better away from home. It could be one of those seasons, couldn't it? And we end up doing better away from home than we do at home. We've lost both home games. Going to be a tough one coming up against Chelsea this weekend. Although I think we should have the match of them, but then I thought we should have had the better of Fulham. So what do I know? But it could be one of those seasons where home form might not be so great, but away form might prove to be pretty good. Stephen, good evening, mates. Loppy was shouting at Soucek to run. Shouted at the wrong person, wasn't he? Amrit almost called him. Almost, I did. Colin, Stella, I'm beginning to worry about Loppy. How can you play Soucek in number 10 role and play Antonio up front again? No creativity. If he did not want Paqueta to play, could have played Kudus or Soler. Well, I think I've answered that. I do agree with you. I think I was surprised. When I did the preview on Saturday morning, I suggested that, I actually wasn't surprised that he played Soucek, to be honest, because of the similar reason that I've explained earlier on. Because Paqueta was flying back from South America, because Soler wasn't match fit, etc. But he could have had other options. And like you said, he could have put Kudus in the middle there and played Somerville. I actually genuinely thought he'd play Somerville. So he did have options there. But I was really surprised he played Antonio, given that Antonio flew back so far from Honduras or Jamaica or wherever. Hoofball, it was in the first half. Thankfully, a little bit better in the second half. Flammer, he made that selection because he's an idiot. He's the wrong man at our club too early. I genuinely, I do respect everyone's opinions, but I just really do think it's too early to think that at the moment. Loppy has been Toha body snatched by Moyes. Oh, we don't know how this is going to go, do we? Ian, I don't know any manager that would have started Antonio and Soucek. Julen Lopetegui, David Moyes. There's two. I'm being facetious, Ian. Gary, good afternoon. Good evening to you. Gary, looking forward to seeing you on Saturday, mate. When are you actually flying to the UK? What day? Sean, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Hoping that this is not another bleeding moan fest. Well, so am I in a way. Stephen, good evening, mate. Lopetegui played it too safe in the first half. I agree. Realised his mistake, changed it at half time, give him time. Exactly that. He realised he made an error. Two defensive midfielders, Soucek and Antonio. I think he went, oh shit. Thank goodness, because let's be realistic. If that was David Moyes would have kept that line up till the 75th minute or longer. Paul, don't underestimate why we're still relying. Don't understand why we're still relying on Antonio. Agreed. Jack, I see the flag in the background. Did it? Unfortunately, not your one, mate. That was from Nigel. Thank you, Nigel. I don't know if you're watching, but thank you for that. It didn't arrive, mate, but thank you for trying. I really, really appreciate that. That is the flag. Jack sent me one and it got lost in the post. And then I asked someone else if they had one and he had a spare. That's the flag that we all had in the final of the Europa Conference League in Prague. And for some stupid reason, I forgot to take one. There are fucking loads of them lying around, and several people took loads, and stupid me forgot. And so thank you. But thank you, Jack. I really appreciate you trying to send that, mate. Is Kudus leaving? No. And I don't believe he will throughout this season. But it's one of those stories where you got to go, oh, yeah, all right. Soler, Johnny, Soler's hair was salon fresh. Matt, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. I want Somerville on the left, get Kudus more central or back on the right. He looked better on the right than on the left against Fulham. 2-1 for Saturday coming. I totally and utterly agree. If there's a lineup that I want moving forward, when all the players are fully fit, this is probably what I would go for. And I think it will happen, but I think we've just got to be patient. I think Mavropanos, for example, I don't think he had the greatest of games again. He got into it, but again, one or two sort of errors at the back. So I think Todibo will eventually be lining up again alongside Kilman. I think Emerson and Wan-Bissaka will be out wide. I think eventually Soler will be competing with Rodriguez for that spot next to Alvarez. And I think you look at that front four, I think it'd be Bowen. I'd really, really want to see Mohammed Kudus in the middle and then Somerville out on the left with Fullkrug up front. Fullkrug will get a lot of support from the likes of Kudus, from the likes of Somerville, and from the likes of Bowen. And I think that could work. And then when you look at our bench, then you've got the likes of Soufal if you need him, Mavropanos if you need him, Rodriguez to sort of shore up the midfield, Souček if you need to play the hoofball, Paqueta. Yes, Paqueta on the bench. Something's gonna have to give. And at this moment in time, my feeling is it's Paqueta that will suffer above and beyond anyone else. And then you've got strikers on the bench as well. Now, I know you look on the right-hand side, players not selected. You've got the likes of Irving. You've got the likes of Guilherme. I'm just wondering if we start seeing those players in the cup competitions rather than the league. But that's what I would go for. So, yeah, I agree with you, Matt. Totally agree. Daniel. Evening, Stone, everyone. I think he's seeing if they can play as a game nullifier with our new backline. If we want to close a game out and still cause problems, maybe. You mean the lineup that he selected at the start of the game? I don't know, mate. I think he was. I think someone else mentioned it. Forgive me, I've forgotten your name. Someone else mentioned that. I just think he had no choice. Well, no, he did have a choice. He did have other players that he could have selected instead of the likes of Antonio or the likes of Souček. I think Michael is still experimenting. That's a possibility as well. Hammer it. I'd like to hope that in 4 weeks' time, after the next break, Antonio doesn't start for us first game back. That would be an improvement. I totally agree. Totally agree. Ian, we all see the coach doesn't... You need to tell me the rest of that, mate. Tony, there are signs that we're starting to gel. 5 minutes here and there. Kudus looks like a player that needs a goal. I agree with that. Never should have started Antonio. Good evening, Flawless. Hi, Stel. Thank you very much, mate. I'm afraid to say that we're going to get relegated under Lopetegui. The fans who wanted Moyes out wanted all this. Now, Lopetegui is an awful manager. I don't agree. Not yet. Not yet. It's too soon to say. I don't think we'll get relegated, to be quite honest with you. It may be a mediocre season. But then if it becomes a mediocre season, then I would expect next season to be the season that we forge ahead. I think a lot of fans, and rightly so, after spending the money that we spent in the transfer window, want to see this season to be a good season. Will we struggle in some games? Yes, we will. But I think he will get it right. And as many viewers have been saying, let's give it till just after the next international break, see where we're at by the end of October, and then start. If criticism is still due, then fair play. Matt, I love both Emerson and Creswell, but we needed a left back. Who's our youth lad from left back? Would you give him a go? Ollie Scarles. Ollie Scarles is signing a new contract, a 4-year deal. He signed that last week, just after Lewis Orford signed his 5-year deal. No is the honest answer. I don't think I would give him a go because we don't know how good Ollie Scarles. And I know you're going to turn around and say, well, if you don't play him, you will never know, which is a good point. But I would like to see perhaps Ollie Scarles play in the cup game, for example, against Liverpool. Let's see how he then gets on. If he proves himself in that game, then you could argue that maybe he should start being used more regularly. I would think it's going to be interesting to see whether Emerson is back at the weekend. I've got a feeling we might go 3 at the back at the weekend because we don't have Emerson. Or it could be 4 at the back with Todibo and Mavropanos in the side as well. With Mavropanos maybe playing right back, Todibo playing centre back alongside Kilman, and maybe Wan-Bissaka out on the left. Hammerite, good evening to you. Stella, I think the issue was the green shoots from the Man City game within midfield. Then he reverts back to Souček and Antonio, who was jet lagged, then realizing it was shit and changed it. It was odd. It was odd. I won't deny it. Like I sort of said when I did the preview, wouldn't have been surprised if he'd picked Souček and he went and did it, but I didn't think he'll do that alongside 2 defensive midfielders and Antonio. One of them, fair enough, but all those combinations did shock me. Who have we got? Ralph, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Didn't play Paqueta because he didn't get back until Thursday, same as Antonio. J-Lo full of crap. Well, this is it. And the only explanation I can give for that is he thought he might get at least half a game from each of them, so he switched them switched them over. But to be honest with you, I agree with Ralph. If one's going to be tired coming back for all the way from South America, then Antonio is going to be just as tired coming back from Jamaica. Daniela, Saudi's coming for Kudus and we sell Antonio. Do you think they'll notice? Martin, I think it's simply that Lopetegui sees something in Antonio and Souček and thinks they can still add something to the squad. I think he's going to stop thinking. I'm hoping he's going to have to stop thinking that pretty soon, to be quite honest with you, because I think it's a false dawn if he still thinks that we're going to get, these players could come on as subs, if you're playing the long ball, if you're chasing a game or whatever, then fair play. But to actually start when we've got real ball players like Kudus, like Bowen, like Paqueta, etc., it's a bit of a false dawn if he still thinks he can get something from those two players. Toha, or in the starting lineup. Toha, not good to hear. What happened, Danny? I didn't see your comment, mate, but I hope all is well with you. Bill, there are numerous sleuths on YouTube creating conspiracy theories on Jay Slater. Maybe they can take a break and find out why Lopetegui and his coaches are selecting the starting 11. Makes no sense. Neil, can you think Antonio and Souček started as they... Can you only think Antonio and Souček started as they got hold of some damaging photos involving a shower and a Dolly the sheep? Colin, please don't argue in the chat. So, please be nice to each other. I've seen the comments. I'm not going to put them up, but please be nice. Colin, Stel, you said you don't play Kudus on the left wing, but why did he play on the left wing at Ajax? I don't think he did, Colin, to be honest. And if he did, it was rare. In most of the games, you're going to make me look that up now. In most of the games that he played for at Ajax, he played either in the middle or out on the right. Damn it, you're going to make me look it up. I will look it up. Kudus. And give me a second. Kudus. And when he played for Ajax, you may prove me wrong here, and I'll hold my hand up if you do. Yeah, he played mainly on the right-hand side or in the middle, but he didn't play that much, if at all, on the left. And if you actually talk to Ghanaian fans, even they would argue he shouldn't be playing on the right. He should be playing in the middle. So I'm not sure, mate. But, maybe he might have started out on the left, but he definitely played a lot more games out on the right. Shaky. Notification doesn't work for me either. Just turn up for 9 o'clock. Stell's always on time. Ralph, Flawless, the troll is on here. Hey, please be nice, people. I don't know if Flawless is a troll or not. He can have his say, but just be respectful. Dexter, good evening, mate. I'm very well. I hope you are too. Antonio cannot start for us moving forward. I agree. Hopefully, Fullkrug will be available sooner rather than later. Stick Bowen up front for the time being. Somerville was bright. Somerville played really, really well. Stephen, how much can we get for Lopetegui? Let's scroll down. Good evening to you, Gaz. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Tony, we will surely sell Kudus or Paqueta next summer to continue Tim's project. I agree. If Paqueta gets off the charges, then I would agree that he will go. But it's not that I want it to happen. Of course, I don't want it to happen, but I'm fully expecting Mohammed Kudus to probably leave West Ham at the end of this season. 69 Claret. Please start Small Town Boy on the left. Drop Lucas if necessary to get Kudus either in the middle or out on the right. Matt. Our next 6 Premier League fixtures are Chelsea at home, Brentford away, Ipswich at home, Bottle Job Spurs away, United at home, Forest away. What do I expect? I want a minimum 8 points. I would say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. I'm not telling you which ones I want the points on, but 14. Hammer it. I actually sicked in my mouth watching that Duran go. What goal? What a shame. But what's done is done. You can't. I don't. Great for him. Great for Aston Villa. But I don't really care. He's not our player, and so let's not cry over spilt milk. It's no point. There's no point. But I get what you're saying. Victor, hasn't Kudus been getting stick for his performances for Ghana too? Yes, he has. And I don't really understand why. Because if you looked at, I didn't sit down and watch the whole Ghanaian game, but I saw some highlights. He was dragging that team into the game. I couldn't understand it. Apparently, what's that stem from, Victor, is apparently there's one Ghanaian reporter who people are suggesting he's got it in for Kudus. God knows why. He's their best player by a long shot. So it's really odd. But yes, he is getting stick. Apparently holding on to the ball for too long, not looking up to pass, not getting in, But I think maybe what I'm sensing with Kudus at the moment is a frustration which is carried over from, I said it about Paqueta with his form at the moment. Paqueta, his form for West Ham and for Brazil is really poor. Misplaced passes, etc., etc. I'm beginning to see perhaps Kudus is beginning to get a little bit frustrated because he's not getting into the game. We've hardly seen him. I think he played well against Man City, but he's not been a shining light in many of the other games. And I dare say that is because he's playing out on the left. And apparently that form, his frustration, has carried it over into the Ghanaian team. But he's trying to actually get the Ghanaian team into the game, dropping deep, picking up the ball, etc. But you're absolutely right. Phil, if Kudus goes, I think I might pack it in. We should never be a one-man. How many years as West Ham fans have we been a one-man team? I don't think we are anymore. We've got several really good footballers at our club. In the past, it used to be Bobby Moore, or it used to be Trevor Brooking, or it used to be a Alan Devonshire, or it used to be a, Paolo Di Canio, or whatever. Now, you can look at our squad and go, there are 4 or 5 players that could and should be world class. I rate Bowen that way. Paqueta, if he picks up his form, I rate him as world class. Kudus is obviously world class. Thomas Souček is world class. I'm joking. Michael, it's not nice, but Antonio is finished, unfortunately. I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree. Daniela, Villa were never letting Duran come to us. The same with Man United and Lingard. Too scared we'd be better than them. There's something more. I was talking about this with my mates at the weekend. And why didn't we just pay the money? Why didn't we just pay the money? Well, I wonder. I think there's more to it than meets the eye, because apparently at one point we got so close that they wanted 40 million, straight. They didn't want 30 million plus add-ons and all that sort of stuff. But the add-ons probably would have paid themselves off, quicker than they would have thought. But I think there's probably something that we're not being told with the whole Duran thing. The Lewis Orford thing is an interesting one, where there's counterclaim, there's claim and counterclaim, where apparently we offered Lewis Orford, and then apparently it was Monchi, the sporting director at Aston Villa, who wanted Lewis Orford as part of the deal. Why would we? And I said this at the time. Why would we be offering if we've got an academy player in our academy team who's worth £8 or £9 million? Why the fuck is he not in our first team? Because he's not worth 8 or 9 million at this moment in time. So I don't actually think that Orford was part of a deal that we made. But I could believe that maybe Aston Villa turned around and said, we'll take 32 million and we'll take Lewis Orford as well. If that's the case, then I'm glad we turned it down, because Lewis Orford is destined to become one of the better players that we've got in our academy. And now that we've secured him on a 5-year deal, all right, contracts can be broken, of course. But now that we've got him on a 5-year deal, it means he's our player for the future. He could be worth a hell of a lot more than the 8 million that maybe Aston Villa thought he was worth. Flawless. Matt, that has 0 points written all over by Colin. Stel will be gutted and depressed if Kudus left, but wouldn't be surprised if he ended up going to Man City or Man United. Man United have fucked it. Ten Hag managed him at Ajax and he didn't want him. Who did he bring it from? He bought Anthony instead of Kudus. He could have bought Alvarez as well. But Ten Hag, I don't think he'll go there. Man City, different matter altogether. Now, whilst I'm on Man City, of course, let me just get to my notes. Where are they? There they are. Now, whilst I'm on about Man City, I'm sure you've all heard that they have been charged with 115 separate charges about, the FFP and all that sort of stuff. And apparently the case started today. It's being challenged in law. Apparently the hearing is very secretive in front of a three-man panel or a three-person panel. Don't know who's on it. That nobody knows who they are. Here's the weird bit, isn't it? It's all being done behind closed doors. It's all being done with a three-person panel that no one knows who they are. And just why this is being conducted so secretly is anyone's guess. There's speculation that the reason why Man City have been hoovering up some of the best youth talent around is because one of the punishments could be they'll be placed under a transfer embargo. Don't know how long for. Another punishment is that they could actually be relegated, demoted from the Premier League, and maybe even lower still. But whilst it's all done in secrecy, one thing is for sure: if Man City's punishment is lenient, more questions will be asked than answered. Don't you think? So thank you for that pointer about Man City. 4 points from 4 games, Dexter. Doesn't sound like a great return, but we have to remember that the opposition we played so far are very tricky games. Chelsea, Brentford, and Ipswich are the games to get a run going. Agree. Barry, what was the point spending 25 million on Brazilian kid? Where is he? I kind of got it, and now I'm beginning to ask myself, did I get it? I get it because apparently he's meant to be, the real deal, meant to be a real talent, etc. But you're absolutely correct. I just said if Lewis Orford is worth 8 million, or in the transfer market, if he was worth that much, he'd be bloody playing. He'd be on the bench, wouldn't he? So if we've got Guilherme and we pay 25 million for him, why? What's going on there? And I'm wondering if we're going to see him in the cup game. Bino, will Antonio last until 2035 in the first team? Obsidian, good evening, mate. Is Socek is a 10? I'm a Martian. Let's scroll down. Good evening to you, Bodger. How are you? If we get offered 100 million for Kudus, then I think he'll be sold. Everyone has a price. Don't disagree with that. But from what I was told this evening is he's not going to be sold at any price. There's no way we're going to be selling him. Let me go a bit further into that and I'll give you a bit more news. So the reports are, of course, as suggested. Let me take that off for a second, mate. I'll come back to you in a second. Reports are beginning to emerge that the Saudi Pro League clubs could be eyeing a January move for West Ham winger Mohammed Kudus. The Ghanaian was mostly deployed on the left side of midfield, although he featured on the right when Jared Bowen moved into the striker role in the second half against Fulham. We all know this. Kudus has been linked with a move to Saudi ever since his transfer to West Ham United. So this isn't new news. This is going to keep going on and on and on. Now, I totally agree. Everyone's got a price. Everyone's got a price. If we got offered 100 million, would we take it? Quite possibly. But would we take it in January? Absolutely not. Look, he's been linked ever since he moved to the London Stadium. We've seen Premier League players going. Musa Diaby from Aston Villa. He was sold there. Ivan Toney, of course, he's getting a king's ransom, isn't he? He's gone there. So it's not beyond the realms of impossibility. I'm not saying it's never going to happen. However, it'll be somewhat surprising for any club to attempt a January move for him, considering we got the £85 million clause, which triggers next June. So we could actually, I guess money doesn't matter to the Saudis. We could actually ask for 200 million if they really want him, but I just don't believe that we're going to sell him. Now, I would say he himself will probably, now he's being managed by his family. Of course, they're going to, you get like that, don't you? You want money in, and maybe his family might turn around to him and say, Mohammed, this is good money. You should go. You're going to get a lot of money being paid weekly to play in the Saudi league and the transfer fee, etc., etc. And I can see potentially that pressure might be applied because now his family are his agents. But I think he himself will have an awful lot to say about a move. And I think Daniela said it right at the start of the show. I don't think at the age of 24, Mohammed Kudus is going to relish going to somewhere like the Saudi League. And I said earlier on, you go to a Saudi league, you get all that money, all of a sudden, you're almost pricing yourself out of coming back into a European market, because of the money you're earning or the not tax avoidance, but you don't have to pay tax, etc. But if you come back into Europe, you're going to have to pay quite a hefty amount of tax and so on. So it's not impossible, but I don't think it's likely at this particular stage of his career. But I believe Kudus will think he's got an awful lot of unfinished business here in the Premier League. And at his age, at 24, he's got plenty of time to make a decision, to be able to get that kind of income, even if he goes in 2, 3, 4 years' time in the Saudi League, even if he goes at the age of 27, 28 years of age to go and earn a bit like Ivan Toney. What's Ivan Toney? 28, just turning 29, and he decided time's for me to go. I'm going to earn a fortune. I'm going to be made for life. He's got the same, probably he's got the same thing, Kudus. Why should I go to a league like that? I know it's improving, and I know they get really, really good players in, but I don't think Kudus is finished yet in the Premier League. The thing that concerns me most is what was mentioned earlier, is that he could stay out in the Premier League for another couple of seasons, but whether it be at West Ham United after next season or not is anyone's guess. I think Kudus, if he doesn't achieve what he wants to achieve with West Ham this season and get back into Europe, into the Europa League, etc., and see what can happen under Lopetegui in Europe, I think he will probably consider leaving West Ham. And I think his family will probably try and impress on him that he should go. But I think it will probably be to another Premier League club, to be honest with you. And I hate thinking that, and I hate saying that out loud, but I think that's where it's at. I do not believe for a second, with the greatest of respect, that he's going to be going in January. Of course, I could be very wrong, but I can't see West Ham United. West Ham United have said tonight, through senior sources, is there's no way he's for sale. We're not going to sell him, and they can offer what they want, but the player is not he's not for selling. What happens next summer is completely a different issue. But what happens in January, I don't believe is going. So they can do the stories and, scaremonger, etc. But I don't believe it's happening in January. So going back to your comment, mate, if we were offered 100 million, I think he'll be sold. Yes, everyone does have a price, but I think it'll be next summer rather than this January. Platinum, good evening. Is it possible that notification issues at your end? I've checked 100 times, mate, and I've got everything properly set up. And I keep reading about it. I'll double check it again because I know it's frustrating for people. It's frustrating for me, because people are not getting the notifications. I will double check. I've tried writing to YouTube, and that they just send you to the Q&A pages, etc. And it doesn't really tell you anything more than I already know. Hamret, we're on the same points 4 games in as. We're on the same points 4 games in as last season, but we have conceded half the goals. It's not as bad as it was. Apache, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. I'm dreading the day I tune into for West Ham Weekly, and I see still presenting Saudi Weekly. Is there a market for that? Oh, mate, I'll tell you what. I wonder if I can get a sponsor out there. Yes, I'll sponsor you. Here's 100,000. Go and start your channel up. Fuck me, mate. I'm telling you now, Apache. I'm going to look into that. Saudi Weekly. Ralph, Flawless goes on to Sites and Trolls. It owes Gio 50 quid. Lost the bet. Won't pay him. Oh, okay. Gary, Stel, see you Saturday. I'm so excited and I can't stand it. We'll definitely see you Saturday, mate. You're going to have to email me your contact details, your number, so we can chat on the day. Are you going to get, I'm guessing you'll get a London line, or you're going to keep your, I don't know. But let me know either way. Tony, Traore was West Ham man of the match. So many chants. It was West Ham man of the match. He was Fulham's man of the match. He was. And I poo-pooed him. He probably must have heard the preview on Saturday when I said Traore's going to do nothing. If Traore had his scoring boots on, he would have got a hat-trick easily. Andrew, Lopetegui cannot be starting Souček and Antonio against Chelsea on Saturday, and I don't think he will, to be honest. Shaky, rest in peace, Gary Shaw, far too young. I don't know who Gary Shaw is, but rest in peace to Gary Shaw. My condolences. Vinay, Ings is lethal in the box. Agreed. I'm not going to read any more comments that have got flawless in the comments, so forgive me. Good evening to you, Ian. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Martin, great early Saturday morning show. Thank you very much, mate. The best Saturday morning show since Multicolored Swap Shop. I don't think I'm that good, but thank you so much. Who else have we got in the chat? Vinay, things happen when Ings is in the box with the ball. Neil, don't think Ings should be a starter, but Antonio certainly shouldn't be either. Being great player, but he's done. Totally, don't disagree. Don't disagree. Tiz was the actual kahunas. Absolutely. Leslie, not got my wish. Moyes has left the building. No, got my wish. Sorry. Moyes has left the building. Let's scroll down. Tony, we have Soler and Paqueta. They're good passers and pace with wide with Bowen and Kudus. So Ings should be a perfect striker poaching in the box. Yeah, good shout. Chaz, Scarles should definitely see some minutes with Emerson picking up a slight injury. Yeah, I don't think we'll see Scarles starting though. I can possibly see for the game on Saturday, Mavropanos as a right back, Todibo and Kilman in the middle, and probably Wan-Bissaka as a left back. Gaz, Lopi is more cautious away from home, but it worked. I would like to see Todibo and Soler play. We only need one central defensive midfielder against teams on our level or below. I'm not reading that out, Flawless. That's just ridiculous and stupid. Obsidian, Moyes didn't even give his wife her best times. Hammer it. Soler looked a live wire. Another card happy player. Yeah, maybe. Daniela, question. Can I ask the chat, how would you all feel if Moyes ended up at Spurs with the sack their clueless manager? He's going back to Everton. Pretty certain of it. Neil, but please answer her. Please answer her. Neil, Leslie, Moyes has left the building, but his ghost is still hovering like the aroma of bad Vindaloo before. Fred, evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Surely he knows not to start that lineup again. He baffles me sometimes. Look, I've explained it. I've said it several times over now, but I do think some of my reasoning sort of stands up. You know, he's had players out on international duty. He thought he might get half a game from Antonio and half a game from Paqueta, and so he switched them both. Both didn't work. I don't think Paqueta was any good, to be quite honest with you, but Antonio was even worse. But he had options with Souček, and but thankfully, as I said earlier on, he actually made changes. Moyes would have kept that lineup for much longer. Andrew, I hope Lopetegui proves me wrong, but his pragmatism is the one reason so many supporters were against him getting the job in the first place. And so far, I've not seen any evidence change my mind. I have. I've seen the way we played in the second half. I mean, he went hell for leather in the second half, took off all our defensive midfielders, put on a whole load of attacking players on, and went for it. That opened up big gaps for Fulham, and a better team with scoring boots on would have punished us for that. But I saw changes. I've seen them in every game. The game against Man City, I thought was very good in the second half. I thought we played really well against Crystal Palace. Again, these teams, if they had their scoring boots on, they would have beaten us by a very healthy margin. But, you know, each team has got to take their chances. We took our chances against Crystal Palace. We took our chance against Fulham. That was only our third shot on target against Fulham, you know, and I've seen signs. I have seen signs that are encouraging. I want it to become more consistent now, is what I want to see. I want it to become a bit more fluent. You know, I don't want us to have to chase the game as we did against Fulham on Saturday. But I have seen some changes. I've seen some signs of encouragement. Vinay, Moyes can end up at Everton. No respectable team will hire him. Everton are respectable, mate. Let's scroll down. Matt, thank God you can block people in the comments. Yeah, I might have to do the same. There you go. I've timed him out. I'm getting bored with it. It's not the fucking flawless show, is it? For fuck's sake. Obsidian. You can shout at a tortoise to run. Has the same effect that shouting at Sojek. Howard. Moyes off to the Spuds. That is hilarious. Hammerette. Usual. Sorry, but I just can't call you Michael. You are usual. Matt. How crazy it is that Antonio and Creswell are the last Boleyn boys. You know what? Didn't cross my mind. They are indeed. Howard, it's all wrong, usual. Haven't you got a tech-savvy teenager you can learn from? What's happening, usual? You having problems, mate? Paul. Moyes to Spuds would be hilarious, but careful what you wish for. Hey, Barley, how are you? I hope you're well, mate. You can see it playing out. We keep stuttering under J-Lo. Everton keeps struggling under Deitch. They reappoint Moyes, and his first game is November the 9th away to us. Don't. Matt, got to respect Lopetegui. He rectified his wrongs by making the substitutions in the second half, and well played. He did. And, you know, when that lineup came out in the second half, thought, thank goodness. You know, the two players that I don't think anybody wanted to see at the start of the game have both been taken off, and we started to improve. Gary, Stel, I'll be landing at 5 o'clock on Thursday. You got plenty of time to get over your jet lag, but looking forward to seeing you, mates. Michael, Howard, I'll try my best to get the name back. Is Michael Danny? I'm getting confused. Anyway, I'll carry on. Vinay, Lopetegui must have had a bet that Antonio will be a first team regular in 2030. That's the new betting scandal. Hammerette, 4 league games in is too early to judge Lopetegui's game plan. It's just that the similarities seem a bit much at the moment. Daniela, Obsidian, Curse, at least he gets them defending like a foot. Look, I think we're defending well, no. Teams are just not scoring. Moisaurus, good evening to you. Remember, Moyes, good riddance. I hate low block. Moyes to Spurs is a crap fact. Andrew, Alvarez or Rodriguez need to be benched. Soler, who is more creative, will hopefully step up. And this is what I think. You know, like I've kind of said, I think moving forward, this is the kind of team that I think will eventually have, you know, so long as everyone is fit, etc., etc. This is what I'm hoping for. But I think this is the ideal lineup with the players. But they've got to be match fit. Soler's got to be match fit. Todibo's got to be match fit. I think Somerville is already there. Fullkrug needs to be match fit. But this is the lineup that I think we should hopefully be going for moving into the future. So you've got Rodriguez on the bench who can come on and cover for Alvarez if need be, or if we need to shore it up, then cover for Soler, etc. You've got Paqueta to come on to play, you know, in Kudus' role if need be. You've got Antonio or Ings to come on as impact subs. You've got, you know, it's a good bench. It's actually quite a good bench. So I think this is where we'll end up. To be honest with you. Let's scroll down. Gaz, Stel, what do you think Tim's and Loppy's plan is for the transfer window in January? I don't think playing Kudus in the middle is on Lopetegui's mind. He hasn't tried him there, even in pre-season friendlies. That's a really good question. I think it's a tough one, that, because if he's not going to play Kudus in the middle, then it means he's got to play him out on the right. If he continues to play him out on the left, we will lose Kudus, but I don't think we'll lose him in January. It's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know what's on his mind. You know, I think Kudus should be playing in the middle or on the right. And we can accommodate Bowen. You know, if need be, you play Bowen up front and you'll have Somerville out on the left. But it's a good question. What have they got planned for the January window? At this moment in time, I'm not sure. I think we'll know closer to the window. I know Lopetegui wanted a 4th centre-back. I'm not so sure that that's the priority. I think maybe the priority might be a left-back. And maybe, dependent on where we are with our strikers, if they're not scoring goals regularly by the January window, then yes, I can maybe see us going in for a striker in January. Be a bit harder to get one in January than it would be in the summer. But if our strikers if Fullkrug and Ings or Antonio are not scoring regularly, then we might see a bit of action there. Good evening to you, NWO. I hope you're well, mate. Moisaurus. Seriously, who really wants the David Moisaurus? You'd be surprised. I've said that before. You'd be surprised. Good evening to you. I didn't say good evening, Charles. Good evening, Charles. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Keith, we want usual back. Right. So I'm guessing Michael's usual, unless I got that wrong. Fake Dad, good evening, mate. How are you? For me, it's still early season, lots of work and lots of games ahead. I think we will hit our stride very soon. I think that too. And what I said earlier in the show, I will give it until the end of October, another international window come and go, and then we see where we're at. Right, I'm going to stop there for a second because I want to talk about, where's my notes? I want to talk about the academy. Let's just take us away. We'll get back to this in a moment, but let's just take us away from the senior team for just 1 second, because we've got the academy players, the under-18s, the under-21s play tomorrow night in the what competition are they playing? The EFL Trophy tomorrow night. And who have they got? They play Newport County in the EFL Trophy tomorrow night. That's the under-21s. But the under-18s were in action on Saturday, and it was quite a youthful side that was put out, who battled to a 1-1 draw against under-18 league leaders Leicester City. It was a tightly contested game at the Leicester City training ground. Now, several under-18 regular under-18 players were away, either coming back from international duty or out injured. So West Ham played a very youthful, and most of the under-16s played in this game. And we opened the scoring on the 69th minute, where Sawumni, what's his first name? Did I write his first name down? Of course I didn't. Where Sawumni scored the opening goal on the 69th minute, but Leicester equalised around on the 84th, 85th minute. So well done to them. A young side, and they held their own against the likes of Leicester. What about a bit of loan news? Now, this is the bit that's going to really interest me. I know everyone's going, if only we signed John Duran. My thinking is, I hope we didn't let James Ward-Prowse go a bit too soon, because, of course, he was involved in Nottingham Forest's win over Liverpool at Anfield at the weekend. Nottingham Forest had not won. They ended a 55-year jinx, I guess you want to call it, for want of a better description, of not winning at Anfield. 55 years. James Ward-Prowse was involved in that. The goal proved decisive in the 72nd minute. Callum Hudson-Odoi, as he climbed off the bench to net a stunning goal. Now, if we do ever sell Kudus, I like Callum Hudson-Odoi. I would be very interested in seeing someone like him coming to West Ham. This man got some game time. Maxwell Cornet came on as a late sub in the 3-0 defeat to Man United at the weekend, but it was good to see him getting some game time. Other players, Callum Marshall came off. Callum Marshall continued his fine start at Huddersfield Town as they thrashed Bolton Wanderers 4-0 in League One. And he provided an assist. So well done to him. I like it when our young players are out on loan and they get some game time. Naif Gerd was on duty. He made his debut for Real Sociedad, which ended in a 2-0 defeat to Real Madrid. And fellow defender Kurt Zuma played a whole 90 minutes on his debut in the Saudi Pro League for Al Aroba, as they registered their first point of the campaign in a 3-3 draw. And finally, goalkeepers Mason Terry and Dondre Abraham started for Hornchurch and Concord Rangers, respectively. Hornchurch booked their place in the third qualifying round of the FA Cup with a 2-1 home win over #United. And Concord earned a hard-fought win over Walthamstow in the Ishmael League North. So I'm glad that we've got players who are out on loan who are getting game time. The one player that I'm going to be looking out for on a regular basis is, of course, James Ward-Prowse. Now, let's say, for argument's sake, he does really, really well and Carlos Soler doesn't hit the ground running. How are you all going to feel then? Because from what I read about Soler, from what I've seen in the clips that I've seen about him when I did my review of Soler, he looks like a really, really decent footballer. I think when he comes, when he's fully match fit, I think we're going to probably see him controlling our midfield a lot more when he plays. And I'm really hoping I'm right, because if we let James Ward-Prowse go and he has a great season at Nottingham Forest and Soler doesn't have as good a season at West Ham, there are going to be even more questions asked, aren't there? You know, about maybe Lopetegui's approach, or maybe even Tim Steidten. You know, why did we go for him and why did we let James Ward-Prowse go? So I hope we don't get to that point, to be honest with you, but it's going to be interesting to see how our loan players get on throughout the season. Right, let's get back to your comments, because the next bit I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about the game and what sort of lineup I think we should have moving forward. Don't disagree. Got to disagree. I think Scars will be fine, Fred. We just don't know, mate. You know, we just don't know. Maybe he would. Really don't know. Vic, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Question for everyone. Would you prefer better football and ended up finishing 9th or 10th? Or the sort of performances against Villa and Fulham and blag our way to 7th with possible Europe next season? What a good question. Well, let's not forget what happened under David Moyes, Vic. Let's not forget what happened under David Moyes. We got into Europe and he was absolutely roasted for the styles of for the performances that West Ham were putting in. So I think the answer most people are likely to say is play really good football and end up finishing 9th or 10th. And yet, if we do that, people are going to complain that we didn't finish in Europe. You know, it can't have it. Well, you can have it both ways. You can play really well and you can end up in Europe. But I think that's a really, really interesting question. Andrew, we won't get relegated, but still believe we made a mistake in hiring Lopetegui, as he's a very similar in style to our previous manager. Obviously, I hope he proves me wrong. I get what people are saying. I get some of the, you know, being pragmatic, etc. But Lopetegui, let's not forget. Let's compare the two just for a moment. David Moyes was pragmatic to the nth degree. And I know, you know, I protected him quite a lot, you know, and I suggested, ironically, going back to the question that was asked there, you know, I was kind of all right because we finished in Europe with some of the games that we played. You know, I hated it. I didn't like the style of play at times, but there was a means to an end. We got into Europe. So I was kind of okay with it. But I think we are seeing a different manager, and I think it will happen over time. And I think he is similar in some ways. He will play a game according to who it's against. So he said we play different games, different formations, different styles, etc., according to need. There's more than one way to play football, is what he said when he did his original interview when he joined West Ham United. And I believe him in that. So I'm expecting to see a different lineup, maybe not a different formation, but certainly a different lineup this weekend against Chelsea. I don't think he'll go for the likes of Souček and Antonio. He may go for the double pivot in midfield, with the likes of Rodriguez and Alvarez starting. But on the whole, what I've actually seen is, and like I said earlier on, when it comes to the game against Fulham, David Moyes would not have made a change at halftime. He would not have taken Souček and Antonio off at halftime. He would have waited till about the 75th minute or so. Lopetegui, not only did he make those immediate changes, but he made further changes as well. He's not afraid to drop players in order for hopefully a better outcome. Like I said earlier in the show, he actually took off Alvarez and Rodriguez at various stages in the game and put on a very attack-minded team, and thankfully it paid off. So I am seeing some changes. Let's scroll down. CC. I don't see us losing too many games. Lopetegui went for it at Fulham, took off both defensive midfielders, brought Ings on, and it worked. Absolutely. Obsidian, you don't get half a game out of Antonio when he ain't. You don't get half a game out of Antonio when he ain't jet lagged or when he is jet lagged. He shouldn't have started. He shouldn't have started. Let's scroll down. Gary, to answer your question, Vic, I don't have a massive problem with how things are right now, especially with how well we played against City. I'll take 7th. Michael, I'm not going to lie. I'm having a nightmare with this new phone, so it is your usual. James, with so many new players, Lopetegui needs a couple of seasons to install his culture of football. Some of us have barely given him 4 games. Not sure if we're like a soap opera or a sitcom. 2 seasons too long. I want to see some difference when it comes to the end of October. Not suggesting it's going to be 100% right, but I think it will get better. Toha, if you don't become usual suspect again soon, I'm stealing your name. Fred, if he wants to possession-based game, Antonio and Souček are not the way to go. I agree. Totally agree. Daniel, Steidten and his team are stats-driven. I think he needs to show Lopetegui, Antonio and Souček stats from last season and Fulham's game too. Yeah, agree. Agree 100%. Can't deny what you're saying there. Keith, Kudus played every position apart from goalie and left wing. Certainly not for Ajax. I didn't think he played left wing. I could be wrong, though. I'm going to double check it again, though. Moisaurus. Loppe is a cautious man, more tactically astute than Moyes, but that's not difficult. Robin, good evening to you. Antonio always looked knackered, even when he doesn't fly halfway around the world. And Souček will always be a fish out of water in the passing team. Don't disagree. Don't disagree. By the way, thanks for the prompt. Only 52 likes. I've got 223 people watching. If you're enjoying the show so far, please do hit that like button. And if you've yet to become a subscriber, please become a subscriber of the channel. Daniela, I got notification 40 minutes before the start time. I don't know what's going on with notifications. That's better than some. Some didn't get any. I don't think anyone really thinks we're going to go and start totally smashing it in the league. But I think most of us want to see something different as to what we have seen that didn't work previously. And it will come. It will come. Andrew, watch Chelsea v Bournemouth. We should not be fearing them. They are beatable if Lopetegui is brave and plays the team we all want. I agree with that. Johnny, I will always be wary of Lopetegui for wearing that M&S zip-up Southgate similar top against Villa. Howard, Paqueta will be off next season. He could have dropped to his knees in front of Pep and it wouldn't have surprised me. Well, he'll only be off if he gets off the charges and we can sell him, or he'll get banned. Adam, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. We shouldn't sell Kudus. It'll be silly. Fans seemed impatient. It takes time to gel. So look ahead and think positively. Absolutely agree. Colin, Stel, what do you think of this team? Areola, Kilman, Todibo, or Mavropanos? Wan-Bissaka. Okay. Alvarez, Rodriguez on a double pivot. Somerville, Paqueta, Kudus, Boeing with Ings up front. 3-2-4-1. I don't mind that. And, I did suggest earlier in the show, if we've got both, Creswell's back. Creswell was on the bench. Do I think he'll start against Chelsea? I'm not so sure. We don't know about Emerson at the moment. I know he had a scan. I think it was on, today. I think it was today. He had a scan. We're waiting for the outcome of that. It's been suggested it's not so bad. Now, here's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because someone said he had a scan on his knee, and someone else said he had a scan on his thigh. So I don't know which one it is, because apparently Lopetegui said one thing, and then it was suggested something else. Look, he's had a scan. It's apparently not as bad as we think, but we don't know when he'll be back, whether he'll be ready for this weekend. I'm hoping so, but it might be a bit touch and go. The other player that's obviously been injured is Fullkrug, but my understanding is that he should be fit and ready for the game against Chelsea this weekend. So yeah, that's not a bad lineup. A 3-4-2-1. Yeah, 3-2-4-1. Sorry. Who else have we got here? Let's scroll down. Please, everyone. I can't see Flawless. I've timed him out, so I can't see his comments. So this is why, Andrew, this is why Stuyden's here. Kudus and Paqueta were never going to be here long term, but a combined transfer fee of 170 million will enable us to elevate our squad to another level. That's a really, really good point. It will come, and I know we don't like selling our best players, but it's much better than letting our best players go and then they smash it elsewhere when we get rid of them for next to nothing. And I agree with you. This is exactly why Tim Stuyden is here. He is here to see through these processes. We don't like it, but what Stuyden will do, and I was asked a question quite a while ago, what about Guilherme? Why did we spend 20 odd million pounds on Guilherme? For all we know, Guilherme might be the replacement to one of these two players, and he's worth 20. We bought him for 25. And if he really does hit the ground running, maybe he'll be worth 50 million when we sell someone like Kudus, or Paqueta. And I know we don't like selling our best players, but I think we just got to accept that that's how most teams will, unfortunately, progress. Leslie, Chatter's just... Oh, okay. Well, I am, because I can't see his comments. Victor, I think Kudus will end up at Liverpool, a replacement for Mo Salah. A lot of people have been saying that. It would not surprise me. And I said much earlier in the show. That I don't think Mohammed Kudus will go to Saudi. I could be wrong. Like someone said earlier in the show, everyone's got their price. But I don't think he'll go to Saudi. But I think there's a good possibility he will leave West Ham at the end of the season if we don't achieve what he will believe will be progress, as in getting back into Europe. And if we don't get back into Europe, we'll have to accept the fact that he will go. But I do actually think he could very, very easily end up at somewhere like Liverpool. I think Man City have got an eye on him as well, to be honest with you. CC, Paqueta won't go to City to play in the Nations League. Well, this is the thing. We don't know just how much. Will City get back? I talked about it earlier in the show. I'm not going to repeat myself. But will City get a proper slap for the 115 charges that they're up against? Bowling Lounge. Honestly, I can't see his comments, so I don't know what's going on. But I'm sorry, Flores, if you're upset. But I had to put you on timeout, mate. Colin, ask yourself a question. What do you think should happen to Man City yourself? Honestly, if they've broken FFP rules, etc., then they should get... Do you remember what happened to Rangers in Scotland? Was that FFP or was that something else where they would drop? Where did they drop? Something like 4 leagues or something like that. And then they had to fight their way back. Juventus for corruption. They dropped down to Serie C or something like that. And they had to work their way back too. If they get found guilty... I know it's really interesting because Guardiola said, everyone wants Man City to be punished. No, everyone wants a team to be punished when they break the fucking rules. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter whether you're man. Look at what happened to other teams. I can't remember who they were. I think Forest got points deducted and other teams got points deducted and all that sort of stuff, got big fines and so on. If it's going to apply... breaking the rules, whatever they are, whether it be FFP, PSR, whatever the hell the rules are about finances and so on and so forth. If you break the rules, you get punished. And the more rules broken, the more severe the punishment should be. And rightly so. If Juventus in Italy could drop from Serie A down to whatever it was, Serie C, I think. If Rangers, for whatever rules they broke or whatever, can get punished and drop down to the lower leagues of Scotland, then why not Man City? To be honest with you, I'm not advocating it. What I'm saying is, if they have broken the rules, they should get the appropriate punishment. And if that punishment means deducting points, dropping out of the league, whatever it is, then should be appropriate to do that. And it could be anyone. If West Ham break the rules, we should get punished. Any team that break the rules. Tony, let's get real. Forest and Everton get punished, but Chelsea, Man U cook their books and City will get a slap on the wrist. How is Chelsea allowed to cheat their way? The owner is doing. Well, they're going to get, they're knocking on the door with them as well. Sharky, I'm sure Guilherme will get a chance to play soon. It will change. You've got to be patient. Please be patient, people. Who else have we got? Hello, mate. How are you, Duke? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Matthew, if City are found guilty, well, how far behind am I? Half an hour. If City are found guilty on even 50% of those charges, relegation to National League, 2-year transfer ban, sell only. Exactly. If they're guilty, they should get the appropriate punishment. Absolutely correct. Let's scroll down. Obsidian. Kudus won't go to Saudi. He wants to play football, not take early retirement. Agreed. I agree. Let's scroll down again. Andrew. The only way Kudus stays beyond this season is if we win something or finish in the top 7. I agree. I agree. If we get back into Europe, then we will possibly keep Kudus. Duke, mate, so sorry I didn't know you were on, but West Ham Weekly, Monday night, mate. I hope you're well, mate. Who else have we got? Stel, sorry for this. I hate to promote my. You go ahead, people. Put your YouTube channel on here, mate. Let everyone know who it is and how they can subscribe. There you go. It's there. Forged from Irons. There you go. Just don't do it on a Monday night or a Friday night or any mornings or don't do it at lunchtime and don't do it at 6 o'clock in the evening. Otherwise, mate, you're welcome. Vape Dad. I would love to see Kudus with our potential European campaign, but I fear that money is going to be too tempting. I think he'll go to, I hate saying it, a bigger team. But I think he'll go eventually. I hope not this season. But if we're in the relegation in January, he will be off. Fuck me. If we're in the relegation in January, I think we should all give up, shouldn't we? We won't be. We won't be. Let's scroll down. Who else have we got? Talking about Camels, so I'm not going to talk about that. Not talking about Flawless. Colin. Still, as much as I don't want Kudus to go, and I know he's going to be a superstar in the future, but as you know, we had players in the team before. This is just because we have to live with. Didn't understand what I think. What you're getting at is I don't want Kudus to go. He's a superstar, so we know he'll probably go in the future, and we've got to make the most of him at the moment. And I totally agree. Totally agree. Let's scroll down. Keith. Hammerette, I have you as my senior assistant referee every game. Has Hammerette been keeping the peace? Good for her. Evening, Hammer. Evening, Aaron. I hope you're well. I've missed the start. I'm going back to the beginning. Don't go back. You haven't missed anything. Have I missed any drama? Well, apparently we're going to sell Kudus, and he's going to Saudi because all the Saudi teams want to buy him, and it's going to happen in January, which is a load of bollocks. So let's scroll down. Stephen. I was hoping the box crasher would get an early goal. Andy, did you think that Somerville kicked the ball off the line? Did you think that Somerville kicks the ball off the linesman? Got it wrong when we scored the goal. Somerville? It wasn't Somerville, was it? It was a throw on from Bowen. Got the ball, gave it to Soufal, and then Bowen got the ball. It didn't go out, and then Ings scored. Somerville, you're confusing me now, mate. You need to explain what you mean. Shane, good evening to you. Loppy just needs to go for it and take out Mavropanos. I'm worried about Wan-Bissaka playing on the left, as I'd rather Creswell on the left. That's interesting. You're the first one to have said that, to be honest with you. You're the first one to have said that. I mean, how many more people? If Emerson, okay, here's a question. If Emerson is out this weekend against Chelsea, would you like to see Creswell or would you like to see Wan-Bissaka on the left side? He's gone, unfortunately. I don't know what Flawless was up to, but if he needed to be kicked off, then he needed to be kicked off. Hammer it. Shane, want it to be diverse and all opinions welcome, but he does go on. Well, then good riddance to him. Duke, I can see why J-Lo's trying to do with regards to his tactics. The starting level baffles me. Yeah, explained this earlier on. I think, he felt, with the internationals, etc. He thought maybe he can get half a game out of Antonio, half a game out of... Actually, that makes me now think, If he thought he could get half a game out of Antonio after the internationals, does that mean he's starting Antonio on Saturday now that he's back fully fit? Don't like that. Tony, people should leave Souček alone. He gives 100%, but he's a limited player that a good manager will use to help the team. Sub at best in the Premier League. I respect Souček. You know, mate, I've always respected what he's done for West Ham. He is not the most flamboyant player. And I actually did a piece, didn't I, a few weeks back. I compared, and I know people criticize me for it, but you can only compare like for like, as in two central midfielders who play for West Ham United, and I compared the stats of Souček and Paqueta. And I know people go, oh, well, he's a more creative player, so it's all right. Well, no. He's a more creative player, so he should be a little bit more careful with the ball. And I know people saying, well, it makes more forward passes and some of them about and go wrong. Well, we've got other players in the Premier League who made more forward passes and they get to the players that they want them to go to. You know, and unfortunately with Paqueta doesn't get half the criticism that Souček gets. And I get it. Paqueta's a more flair player. He's a more attack-minded player. He knows how to use the ball, etc., etc. But the stats suggested, ironically, that last season, Souček did better than Paqueta with passing, tackles, etc., etc. So, but having said all that, I do think Souček should start from the bench. Good evening to you, Trudge. I hope you're well. Let's scroll down. Mark, I'm slightly disappointed Guilherme hasn't even come off the bench to get a taste of game time. Let's see what happens with the game against Liverpool in the Cup. You know, I'm kind of really hoping, even if they don't start, I'm hoping we're going to see Guilherme and Andy Irving as well at some point. Andrew, if Moyes goes to Everton, I can see him going for Souček in January. Good shout. You very, very good shout. And maybe even Antonio as well. Hammer it. I don't think many of us would be adverse to Tati and Antonio being subbed on later in a game when needed. They don't pick themselves, of course. I agree with that too. Shrudge. Guilherme was expected to not get any game time for a while. Todibo, however, more of a surprise how long he's taking. I think good reason for that as well. I think Mavropanos, yes, he's had a few mistakes in him, but I think he's done well enough. It's interesting, isn't it, when players all of a sudden have got competition for their places, how they step up a bit. You know, and I think Mavropanos has done well enough up until now to prove himself to be the starter alongside Kilman. I think he had a few mistakes again at the weekend, Mavropanos, and it's quite possible we might see Todibo starting this weekend. Do forgive me. I can't pick up all your comments, but I'll try and do my best. Due to work watch show early on Tuesday. The likes hit is under 10%. Support the channel. Thank you. Really much appreciated. I appreciate that. Have a good evening as well, Leslie, and thanks for commenting as well. Trudge, our only signings that hit the ground running, Kilman and Wan-Bissaka. Maybe Moyes was right. Well, no. Kilman had a proper pre-season. Wan-Bissaka also had a proper pre-season. Most of our other signings didn't. And this is the problem, isn't it now? You know, our expectation has risen. You know, and people have been saying, some are saying till Christmas, some are saying all season. I'm suggesting end of October. When all these players that we've signed are fully match fit, then I'm expecting to see some changes. The likes of Todibo, Somerville starting more regularly, Soler starting more regularly. You're going to see a very different team in the next couple of months to what you've been seeing in the first 4 games of the season. Adam, Mavropanos makes too many mistakes. He needs to be benched to get a kick up the arse and liven up and stop thinking he's better than he is. Platinum. Just for the record, after 4 Premier League games last season, West Ham had 10 points and a goal difference of +5. Get your facts right. No, you're absolutely correct. The comparison was against these teams that we played last season. So when we played Crystal Palace, we got thumped 5-0 away from home. This time round, we won 2-0. When we played Fulham, we got thumped 5-0 away from home. This time round, we drew 1-1. When we played against Aston Villa, I can't remember the score against Aston Villa. last season at home. And when we played Man City, I think we got thumped by another 5 goals again. This time we only lost by 3. A loss is a loss, though, isn't it? Tony, Stel, when is your Friday night show with Nigel happening? Best show on YouTube. Thank you very much. Going to talk to him about whether we do one this coming Friday. It's quite possible. If not, it'll definitely be the following Friday. Andrew, got to wonder if it was right bringing in Guilherme when we should have made the Villa striker our main priority. I still maintain there's something in the background that we're not aware of with that. Why would we have walked away when we were that close to signing Duran? Someone said earlier, I just wonder really if Villa really wanted to let him go. They probably, maybe they didn't. Maybe they just said to themselves, if we get 40 million, we'll let him go. But we didn't get to that 40, did we? What else we got? Bowling. Out of 4 games, Fullkrug got minutes in 3 of them, and 5 games of 9 and in 5 games, 9 signings, 7 have been used. Only exclusions were Foderingham and Guilherme. He's hardly been dragging his heels. No, but I get it. People need to see a bit more of them, I guess, is what people are saying. Quite a youthful side is it was an under 16s is what I said. God, am I that far behind? Let's catch up. Happy to think comparing the 4 games against the same teams we have played. Yeah, exactly that. It was about the 4 teams that we played, not where we were at this time last season. Keith, rumor has it that Cornet was flagged offside during the press hold up shirt photo. Forgive me, I'm trying to catch up. Colin, still, did we miss the boat not getting a striker? If not Duran, I would have liked Omaridian. Big, strong, very quick, similar to Haaland. If we had him, we would scare defenders along with our other attackers. I do think we kind of missed out on striker, yeah. And I think we went we took too long over the decision over Duran. Why did we go for Fullkrug if he's not going to be that good? I think I'm hoping and I think that Fullkrug will come good soon. I really am. Charles, even though we won a European trophy with Moyes, we almost got relegated that season. That's a good point. Montana, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Trodge, take 6 months for what? He looked good when he wasn't in the rhythm of the game when he came on. What did Trodge talk about? Richard, Henry and Bergkamp needed a second season. And Bergkamp, do you remember the Arsenal fans when Bergkamp was not doing well? And Thierry Henry, and the only reason why Thierry Henry did better, wasn't it because he was moved further forward? I think you're right. They took quite a long time to settle. Richard, Areola, Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, Kilman, Emerson, Alvarez, Rodriguez, Paqueta, Kudus on the right, Bowen, Somerville on the left. Yeah, good shout. Daniel, question: can anyone realistically see any youth on loan playing for us next season? 100-1 for me. It's a possibility, and I'll tell you for why it's a possibility. Because when you think about how much money we spent this summer, and we may have to sell a big player next summer in order to bolster the squad again, we would have had a number of our youth players, a number of our academy players had spent a whole season out on loan. I think we will see 1 or 2. We won't see many. I think we're kind of half expecting that half the team will become, academy players. And I don't believe that that's going to happen. We may see 1 or 2 next season come into the squad. Callum Marshall continuing to do well. I know George Earthy's out injured at the moment, but I know he's done well in the past. And I think someone like Freddie Potts as well. I do possibly see 1 or 2 of our academy players coming through, mainly on the bench, though, to be honest with you. Let's scroll down. Do forgive me. I'm trying to catch up, so I'll do as many comments as I can. Soler has not got 6 months. He's not got 6 months. He's got to hit the ground running quickly. Quality players should be able to adapt. He hasn't had a pre-season, so it doesn't matter how good you are. If you hadn't a pre-season, you've got to get match fit. Graham, but I don't suggest it should be 6 months either. This might sound crazy, but the support attacking players we have, could Ings turn out to be our star striker? It's not crazy at all, because if we play to a striker's strengths, then yes, why not? Absolutely agree. Brownie, I hope you're well, mate. Can we have Souček, Antonio, and any other West Ham players who the fans don't want at Cardiff, as we need as much help as possible? I think many will say you can have them all. Andrew, I like Mavropanos, but he seems to have an error in every game. I'd like to see Todibo given an opportunity now. Don't disagree. Let's scroll down. Who else have we got here that I haven't commented on yet? Haven't commented yet. Brian, how long before we hear Todibo is unhappy with lack of game time? He turned down a lot to come here to sit on the bench. I hope not, but understandable. Like I said, you know, whilst he is getting match fit, and I think he now is, I think we'll soon see him play. Montana, still. I always remind you in one of your transfer shows, I said we needed a young left back. You said no. I guess my talent ID started. Yeah, I did because I said we had Emerson. I think that was at the time. I'm not. You know, I admire what Creswell's done, but I do know he needs replacing. And I also speculated at the time that perhaps Ollie Scarles might have come through. You know, when we got Emerson, I was worried. You know, he was more of a wing back for me than he was as a left back, but he's proved himself to be good. But you're absolutely right. Creswell, last season now, I don't think he'll get another season out of West Ham, and I think we absolutely do need a left back. I agree. Montana again. I hope we don't sign any more projects like Guilherme. Why don't we sign players like Brighton? They play their players hit the ground running, most of them. Yeah, good point. Good point. Stephen, hello, Stel. Hope all is well. All well, mate. I hope you are too. I think this Duran guy is a character doing the hammer sign online. Then when he scored against us, telling the Villa fans he's here to stay seems. Yeah, I think he doing that and then telling the Villa fans, you know, yeah, but he's got to do it, hasn't he? He thought he was leaving, and then he realised he's staying, so he had to win the Villa fans back, didn't he? Hammer it. Past 2 seasons, our left back position with Emerson has been great. Not a position that crucially needed an upgrade. Yet now seeing how amazing Wan-Bissaka is on the right, we need our left side strengthening. Yeah, agree with that. Totally agree. Let's scroll down. Who else have we got in the chat? Let's scroll down. Mark. Don't know if anyone has said this already. Has joined the show late, but heard the latest was a top UEFA representative is trying to make it so any points deductions are spread across multiple. That's a load of. I haven't heard that, to be honest with you. And it hasn't been mentioned before, but heard the latest was a top UEFA representative is trying to make it so any point deductions are spread across multiple. That's no, it's got to be done straight away. Pete, good evening to you. Rangers had to reform as a new club. The old club went bust. I thought it was something different. Didn't they do so? Is it just because they went bust? I didn't realize it was just for that. Adam, Ralph, he does, but I like him. He's just got to stop thinking a midfield player has to concentrate on defending. Sorry, mate. I'm zoning out, so I do apologize. Richard, Everton, I didn't mean about your comment, by the way. Everton got done for a few points. Also, City have got enough money to tie Premier League lawyers' tied up forever. That's true. Good evening to you, Nick. I hope you're well. Stop spending your money. But thank you very much, mate. I hope all is well with you, mate. Bodger, Man City are the football version of you. Ooh. Yeah. Eamon, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Rangers didn't break any rules. They went broke. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought they'd broken rules. They went into liquidation. They had to change their name and start again from the non-league. Jack, many comments about Kudus not staying if we did not qualify for Europe, but so will a lot of other players. Well, that's true. It wouldn't be Kudus that we'll lose. We might lose 1 or 2 others as well. That's a really good point. Hammerstad. If Man City get found guilty, do you think their trophies will be taken and handed second place or beaten finalists? That I don't know. I would like to think not, because the punishment should be. I know it's about what they did in the past, but I would probably think not. But certainly punish them enough to demonstrate that you know, when clubs don't break the rules, then they should be punished accordingly. Love Otto, good evening to you. If Kudus does go to Saudi for a truckload of cash, it will solve the problem of playing him in his best position, and we will really get a very strong squad. Interesting. So you're kind of advocating if it happens. Yeah. Eamon, a few years later, Rangers bought their name back. Can't remember exactly how it went, but look it up. Yeah, I will do. I just thought they broke some rules, but I guess going into liquidation is kind of breaking a rule. Nick, I can honestly say I'm actually really happy in my bungalow too, despite bits needing sorting out. Just nice to get my life. Well done, mate. And I hope it all goes well for you. I really, really do. Andy, do you think Somerville kicked the ball out for the throwing to be? Oh, I got what you're saying now. Did he kick the ball out? No, I don't think he did. I think it came off the defender, didn't it? Let's scroll down. Who else have we got? Obsidian. We all would give 100% for the team. Don't mean we should be playing yeah, okay, true. Adam, Somerville made the pass and it came off a Fulham player. Yeah, sorry. I didn't understand the question, what was being said earlier on. Now I've got it. Trini, good evening, mate. With Socek, you get consistency. Pac-Man is hit and miss. You do get consistency with Trini. I know where you're going with that. Stephen, hello, still. Got that one, mate. Sorry. I hope you're well. Sharky, Shane King Arthur is no longer at West Ham. Yeah, I know. Fuck me. No wonder we're shit without Arthur Masuaku. Boleyn Lounge. Only players we signed that really lack fitness are Todibo and Soler. And now I think Todibo's ready. Soler, I still think, needs a little bit more time. Good evening to you, Ed. How are you? Apache, Stel. Is there anything you are looking to add to your West Ham shrine? If you want to give me something, then by all means send it, mate. Not adding anything else at the moment. Have I just not the? No, I'm still on. Boleyn Lounge 1-1. Villa scored 4-3. Disallowed with Socek. 5 minutes VAR check. That was the score. Yes, that was the score, wasn't it? So we didn't do as well against them, did we? Stel, did you mingle with the Fulham supporters at halftime? Why would I do that? Sharky. Neil, for me, we have massively improved on the squad, on the quality of the squad, only lacking in the forward department. Can only think our Tiger Tank is a stopgap. Trini, Wan-Bissaka and Kilman were Premier League players when we got them, so integrated easier. Another good point. Irving to score the winner on Wednesday in the game against Liverpool. Irving, Sharky is the new Cornet. We will forget we've got him. I hope not. Alan, Stowe and everyone, hi. Just got in from our morning walk. Turn back to the start. Thank you for watching, mate, and welcome. Colin, still, my team against Liverpool. Fabianski, Scarles, Kilman, Todibo, Mavropanos. Okay. Wan-Bissaka. So you're going with 5 at the back with wing backs. Okay. Alvarez, Rodriguez, Somerville, Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen. I think Ings might start that one, ironically. Montana, my faith in Tim is starting to wane thin. We didn't sign a youthful striker. Our left winger doesn't start. We didn't sign a left back. We have so many gaps despite signing a dozen players. Was Moyes right? No, he wasn't. And I'll tell you for why. Because we only had a certain amount of funds. And there were areas in that squad that were much more needed to strengthen than the ones you mentioned. Not suggesting for a moment that we didn't need a striker. We obviously were going for one. Not for a left winger. He will start getting game time. Didn't sign a left back. I think with the money that with the lack of money that we had, I think maybe he would have looked at the squad and gone, Creswell, another season, backing Emerson. That'll do for me. So I think I get it. I get why we signed the players. The centre backs we needed, undoubtedly. Right back, we needed to get another right back in. We needed more creative midfielders. We got that. We needed a left winger. We've been saying for ages we needed a left winger. And we did try to buy it. So, well, let's not forget, we did buy a striker. We bought Fullkrug. And for all we know, he may turn out to be shit hot instead of just shit. James, hello, fellow Hammers. Chelsea is on at 4:30 in LA. My sleeping suffers when the Premier League starts. Hope you're well, mate, and thank you for joining all the way from LA, and I hope we have a win on Saturday. Andrew, I hope Fullkrug Cub's good, but got that feeling we may have made another mistake where signing a striker is concerned. Time will tell, I guess. I never take anything personally, mate, so don't worry. It's all good. All good comments are appreciated, so don't worry about that, mate. Stephen, ignore my other comment. Had to rewrite it. Said YouTube removed. Oh, okay. I may have read it out already. How far am I? I'm still waiting. Oh, well, actually, I'm not, because I want to get to the final bit of the show. Stephen, I think Somerville could be a good shout up top. He's small, he's witty, fast, tricky, and can trouble any defense. That's an interesting shout, actually. But what that will mean is that Kudus will still play on the left side, which I don't want, to be honest with you. Montana. Still, I also get your point this season on Deitch. He's a poor man's version of Moyes. So dreadful in game management. Moyes will go back to Everton, I reckon. There was a point a few years back, mate. Where's your comment gone? I don't know if you remember. There was a time a few years back where people were going, Sean Dyche, bring it to West Ham. Remember that? I'm not saying you said it, but I'm just saying that's what people were saying. Andrew, Eddie Howe is a West Ham manager in the making. Don't disagree. Might happen in the future if he doesn't become England manager, of course. Mark, Man City will probably get 6 points and a few mil fine. Then it won't be fitting the punishment, will it? I don't like the fact that they're doing it behind closed doors. But anyway, there you go. Ryan the Lion. Oh, Ryan the Iron. Sorry, mate. Stelly Savalas. Lovely here on the Costa Blanca. What do you call a man with no shins, Tony? I hope you're doing well over there. Oh, I bet it's still fucking hot over there, isn't it? Okay, it was lovely here in London today. God knows what's going on there. 1 minute it's fucking boiling, next minute 8. Let's scroll down. Bowling Lounge. Montana, we're unbeaten away. Have lost only to Champions League teams. 1-2, drawn 1, lost 2. Results-wise, no, we've only played 4 games. 1-2, drawn 1, lost 1. No, we haven't. We've won 1, drawn 1, lost 2. You're confusing me here, Bowling Lounge. It ain't dreadful, and we are developing a side with a new manager. It ain't all doom and gloom. No, I don't think it is. I'm not going to do anything about a wooden butt there, Howard. Keith, realistically, stripping Man City of all previous trophies is not possible or likely. A logistical nightmare. Relegation can surely be the only punishment. Nick, this is the best West Ham squad I've seen in my life in terms of overall squad quality. It's not bad. Darren, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. After Forest result, we have hope. We have hope against Liverpool. Absolutely, I'm going. I'm going there because we're going to win. Is why I'm going. Mark, I have a feeling Steinem might go for Frimpong if we generate serious funds from selling Kudus and Paquetá. Frimpong would be good quality for right back spot and only 40 million euros. I think now that we've got Wan-Bissaka, I'm not so sure. But left back wise, hang on, Frimpong. He's right back. Trodge, if you expect more than mid-table and some entertaining matches, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. I'm expecting entertaining matches, and I'll be happy if we finish above mid-table. Do I want us to be in Europe? Of course I do. But let's see how it goes. Let's scroll down. Montana. The bowling, I hope so. And please let Fulham be the last time Souček and Antonio start a league game. We need to start with the starting lineup that we end with. Brian, after seeing Lopetegui's reactions during first half, we certainly won't see that starting lineup again, right? I totally agree. Colin, Stelp, surely when Steinem came in, top priority should have been a striker. Well, yes, I'm not disagreeing with you, but actually, well, no, not yes. Top priority was 100%. We needed centre backs. The first player we signed was a centre back. So, yeah, we do need a striker, but we needed centre backs without a doubt. We needed a left winger without a doubt. Absolutely, we needed a left winger and centre backs. We needed a right back, so that was another priority. And maybe let's see what's going to happen with Guilherme over time. This boy is going to come in at some stage. Who knows? He can also play in the middle of the park as well. I'm not suggesting he'll become our striker, but let's see what happens. Michael, did anyone see the ex-Sheffield United chairman still crying over Tevez the other day? Mate, you know. Nick, is Stelios a Cypriot name? It is indeed. I found out I have 0.1% Cypriot in me. What was his name? I'm kidding. Sorry, mate. Trini, heard on Sky that teams affected by Man City's position may sue them for loss of earnings if they're found guilty. Don't see them removing trophies. Yeah, another good reason why they may not have their trophies removed. Right, let's now go into the game. And then what do we do? I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit, haven't we? What happens moving forward? We've all said it. We all agree. When that lineup came up, we all went, what on earth is going on? You know, I did say in the preview, and forgive me for repeating myself, I did say in the preview I did on Saturday that it wouldn't surprise me at all if Souček started. And the reason I gave for that was because Paqueta would have come back late from international duty, probably would have been a bit jet lagged, not got ready to start. But I used that same reason for Antonio. I said I didn't think Antonio would start either. And knowing that Fullkrug was injured, I didn't think Ings would be a starter either. So I thought that Souček would start up front. I thought Kudus would go out on the left. Oh, sorry, on the right. And I thought that we would have had Somerville in the game, but that didn't materialise. So, and I also suggested that I didn't think we would have a double pivot along with Souček, along with Antonio, and Lopetegui did all of those things that I didn't think he would do. So it was a real surprise, and I think we gave Fulham too much respect with that lineup. We know that Antonio, when he comes back from international duty, is not going to be match ready, and so he proved. We know that Thomas Souček, he's received quite a lot of criticism, and I think by default, Lopetegui thought, well, he goes in as my number 10. But he had other options. He could have played other players in that position. We also know that when he made the changes, we looked far, far better. And one of those players that we made the changes for, Crescencio Somerville, looked sharp. He looked good. He looked lively. He was trying to make things happen. I really do think that he's played himself in to the starting lineup this coming weekend. This is one change that I would like to see. Who else? Kilman. He's kind of proving himself, isn't he? That he's worth every penny that we've spent on him. I think he's good. He's composed. He's improving. He carries the ball out from central midfield. He's really strong. He's stronger than I realised. And I think he was money well spent. Now, we still don't know what's happening with Emerson. But the player that I keep worrying about, and I've mentioned this earlier, let me reiterate for those who have joined the show late. There's stories tonight going on that Saudi Arabian teams are looking at signing Mohammed Kudus in January. I've been told quite categorically that the player is not for sale, so I don't believe that will happen. What happens next summer is a completely different matter. But what I'm worried about at the moment is Kudus's body language. I'm worried that he keeps being played out on the left and he's just not getting into the game. And that concerns me somewhat. And I want, as I said earlier in the show, I want Lopetegui to sit down when he's writing out the team sheet and the formation. The first player that he should be writing on that team sheet is Kudus, and either on the right or in the middle of the park, or even as a false number 9 if need be, whatever. But playing him on the left doesn't make him happy. Doesn't seem to make. He doesn't click. He doesn't get into the game. He can't get engaged in the game, and that's what I want to see. Now, interestingly, when the game was over, our stats didn't actually look too bad. We actually pulled quite a lot back. Our possession that we've been criticised for under Moyes over the seasons was a lot better, 45%. We had 3 shots on goal to their 5. They had a lot more of the game, but they didn't have their shooting boots on. They had 5. They had 18 shots. For an away team, we had 11. Again, that's not bad. But a lot of this came in the second half. So for me, it was disappointing to see the lineup. I was relieved when it came to half time and Lopetegui realised the errors and put different players on. And I think we got strong. Obviously, we got stronger throughout the game because we scored the goal right at the death. So I think in that respect, I'm pleased with the outcome. I wasn't pleased with the starting lineup, but I'm pleased with the outcome. And I think, in some of the games that we played, I mentioned this earlier, against Crystal Palace, against Man City, even though we lost that game, and against Fulham at the weekend, even against Aston Villa at certain spells, we saw a difference. We saw a difference in the way we're playing, but it's taking time. And as people have pointed out, don't finish with the team that you should be starting with. Start with that team. But I think as the players are progressively getting more match fit, we will see that. Mark, fans saying no progress. Conceded 10 goals with Fulham and Palace last season, so small progress, but progress. Jerry, what worries me is lack of pace throughout the team. Wan-Bissaka is the exception. I don't think he is. I think Kudus has got pace, and I also think Somerville has also got pace. Daniela, I think we will get Europe for next season because other teams will mess up. Let's not rely on other teams. Let's do it ourselves. Brian, they should put an asterisk next to Man City's name in the record books. Stating trophies were won in a contested competition. That way, years from now, they're not look good as same as other clubs. Good point. Let's scroll down. Schizo, hello, mate. I hope you look well. Well, late, but at least you're here. Andrew, we have got a very good squad, but still have a lot of average players such as Soufal, Antonio, Ings, Creswell, and Souček. Don't disagree with that. Montana, Stel, did you play for Bolton under Big Sam? Did I play for Bolton under Big Sam? He did have a Stelios, didn't he? But that weren't me, mate. Fuck me. What would I be doing a show like this if I played professional football? I'd have a couple of million stashed away, wouldn't I? Well, maybe I wouldn't if I played for Bolton. I don't know. Now, my starting lineup would have been Somerville on the left, Kudus on the right, and Bowen up front. Let's scroll down. Soha, my daughter married a lad who is 50% Greek Cypriot. Definitely not you, Howard. Colin, why don't integrate Ajala in some games as a sub? Cannot do any worse, surely, because he's young. He's wet behind the ears. He's only just started. He looks very, very good. But we said that about Perkins, and he didn't turn out to be any good. We said that about Mbama. Yes, all right. He signed for Man City, but he won't get game time. Let's scroll down. Who else we got? Hammerit. I think Ajala is going to be great for us if we keep developing him. Yeah, but don't rush him. Stephen, at least we should be watching the same knackered. At least we shouldn't be watching the same knackered 11 come the end of the season with players that have been flogged to death. That's good point. Montana, we need a right-sided version of Kilman and left-sided version of Wan-Bissaka. The right-sided version of Kilman is Jean-Claire Todibo when he starts playing regularly. The left-sided version, I agree. We do need at some point to go and get a left back, which could be in January. If not, then it will be next summer. Michael, or usual. I don't think Kudus will go to Saudi. Only see him moving for a Champions League club. We need to do more to keep him happy, though. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I think he will if and when he leaves West Ham United. It will probably be to a Champions League club. Berlin. In minute one, Kudus let Traore go and left Emerson exposed. Kind of set the tone for this whole performance, to be honest. He's out of sorts. Is he just, is it like a one-man sort of rebellion against being played out on the right? I don't know. He's out of sorts. Oh, man, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. He always looks that way. Andrew, Somerville has to start on Saturday. No excuses. Usual. Kudus hasn't looked happy at West Ham for ages now. If body language is anything to go by. Let's scroll down. Mark, Stel, if Somerville scores against Chelsea, you've got to go bald. What? No way. What do you mean? I actually almost had a number one a couple of weeks ago. Look how quickly it grows. Look at it. No, fuck going bald. No, I'll get divorced, mate. No. Andrew, the left side is where West Ham players go to die. Who else have we got? Trini. On our youngster, can we not at least have them under contract? So if we cannot integrate them, at least they get a decent fee for them. That's what we've started doing under under I've lost his name. That's what West Ham are doing at the moment. You know, we've just signed Lewis Orford to a 5-year deal. We've just signed Ollie Scholes to a 4-year deal. We're finally doing that. So that's really, really good to see. Howard, a sculptor, a turner, a painter, a poet, a lone parrot, just making it up as I go along and loving it. You carry on, mate. Brian, if we see the same setup and attack against Chelsea that we saw versus Man City, proves Lopetegui is running different systems versus different teams accordingly. Apache, Stelios Giannakopoulos is the ex-Bolton player. Stelios Haji Ianu, the EasyJet founder. Anything ain't got nothing on Stelios Suhaku, apart from they're both a lot fucking richer than this Stelios. James, I'll start versus Chelsea with Somerville on the left, Paqueta is 10, Kudus on the right, and either Bowen or Fullkrug up top. Nick, Stell didn't see my Stell's like a big strong man at his centre back comment. I did see it. I just ignored it the first time. Howard, Kudus waiting for Moyes to land somewhere so he can go. Oh, God, no. Neil, blame GB News comrade HH. Hammerette being a left winger isn't allowed these days. Andrew, Stell, silly question. Could Kudus not be played as a strike? Yes, he could. Yes, you know, he's played in the middle. I don't know if he's played as a striker or as a false or as a number 10 for Ghana, but yes, he could. He could be played as a striker. I think he's strong enough to do so. Absolutely. Schizo, it would be a shame if we sold Kudus for mad money in the future, but don't use him as though he's worth a fortune while we have him. Yeah, we got to use him in the right way. Got to use him in the right way. Right, I've done 2 hours. My mouth's dry, even though I'm trying to drink water. People, it's now 11 o'clock. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for keeping the show going. Your comments keep the show going. Hang on a minute. I've got something here. I did say thank you. Thank you for the £2 there, mate. Nick, but stop spending your bloody money on this channel. But I am very, very humble and appreciated. That's it, people. Thank you all for watching. There'll be other shows coming up when stories are coming up. Let's not listen to the rubbish that Kudus is going in January. As someone said later on in the show, if he leaves, it'll be next summer, but it'll be for a Champions League team. And I think that's where he'll definitely demonstrate his real value. So let's not worry about that. Let's not get too hung up about the team selections at the moment. I think when everyone is match fit, we're going to see very, very different lineups. Soler will start playing regularly. Todibo will start playing regularly. Somerville should already be playing regularly. So I think we're going to see very, very different lines up over the coming weeks. Keep the faith, because you know it's worth keeping the faith, because we will do things this season. We've just got to be patient, is what I think. Have a great evening. Have a great week. I'll see you all very soon. Thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you like what you saw, heard, etc., please hit the like button, and I'll see you all very soon.